welcome back to my channel. So if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that way back, probably like October, November of 2017, I started this project where I was drawing, inking, and watercoloring hands, making the manual alphabet in American Sign Language. So I had planned always, and I just had never gotten around to it, to actually film myself going through the process of this to show you guys, as well as giving you guys a flip through of the ones I've already done so far. So this is really belated, but I am finally here to show you guys this project that I've been working on for like almost a year, it feels like. So this is just a standard moleskin watercoloring notebook, and I got the like smallest size they have because I'm really not very skilled at watercolors, especially when I first started. So I wanted to have someplace kind of small that would be easier for me to actually fill up and complete the entire sketchbook. So that's why it is this particular size. So I've got in here just my little intro page. And you'll notice that at the very beginning, it's bad. Like, these are just very like simplistic watercolor flowers and like just really random little doodles that I was kind of playing around with, because I've always wanted to get better at watercolors, but I've never had any sort of training. I didn't really know where to start, and I also just a lot of the times don't know what to draw. So this was kind of playing around, like I don't even know what happened there. I don't even know. So you'll see it's very messy up in the beginning here, playing around with just like different shapes and things. I think I actually did these from a watercolor tutorial on YouTube, and it still did not turn out terribly well. Then I started trying a little bit more. This was my first attempt at a galaxy, and it was not great. My second attempt went a little bit better, but still kind of like, I don't know what happened with the colors there. And then this is when I really started to try and get a little bit better at doing watercolors. So that one came out all right. This was a tutorial that I had followed from Bonjourno. So she's somebody I follow on Instagram, and she does a lot of really good like drawing tutorials. So I followed one of hers, a maple leaf, and then random little mug. This was just like playing around. This was another one of Bonjourno's pumpkin tutorials, which I actually did. It's probably going to be really hard to see on camera, but I actually did little highlights of like metallic watercolor in there. And then I decided that I was gonna start my hand project. So a little bit of background. Ever since I was a kid, if I don't know what to draw, I draw hands. Like, I just always have done that, and I think I'm sure there are other people out there who like that, but you know, you kind of have this thing that you like to draw. So some people really like to draw flowers, or some people really like to draw like animals. For me, it's always been hands, and because I am trained as an American Sign Language interpreter, it made a lot of sense to me to do the manual alphabet as like a way to get different hand shapes and to have, you know, 26 ready-made hand shapes that I knew I could just like go through one after another. So I first started out, the reason why I wanted to do this was, one, I wanted to get better at drawing hands. Two, I wanted to get better at watercoloring. So this process really forced me, and it has really forced me to focus on trying to get the hands that I draw to look a little bit more lifelike, trying to focus more on the details, and also trying to learn how to play around with watercolors, how to do layering, how to get like colors and shading and all of that kind of stuff. So this has been a really awesome project for that, and I'm hoping that as we flip through this, you'll be able to see a little bit of improvement at least. So we have A here, and actually I started this in November 1st, 2017. So it's been a little while since I've started this particular project. We've got B, C, which this one is actually one of my favorites still. I really just like how this one came out. D, E, this one I'm still really mad at myself for messing up the angle of the fingers, but oh well. F, G, H, I also really like how I came out. I like the shading on that one. J, so with hand shapes that actually have a movement, so for example J, you've actually got this movement. I just picked one of the positions if you were to take a picture when it's like in motion, and just take one aspect of it. I just kind of picked that to do for this particular thing. So since I had already done I, which is the starting point, I basically did the curve side of it, which is just how I kind of decided to do letters that are normally in motion. Then K, L, and I got up through M, so I actually have done the sketch for M and for N, and as I'm going through and flipping through this, I'm kind of realizing that I probably should have done each hand on its own page. I wouldn't have actually been able to fit it in this notebook, which I think is why I chose not to do that, but it kind of, you know, if I ever wanted to scan them and make prints of it, I think that would kind of be an issue, but oh well, this was mostly just kind of an experiment for myself. So way back when, actually, so when did I finish the last one? I finished L in April, so April 1st. So this was already, just to get through L, was already like 6 months, or 5 months, if I can count. So back when I was like really on a roll working on this, I was doing, you know, several of these a week. And so I had actually already gotten M most of the way sketched in, and I had started sketching in N, and then I got really busy with my master's and I stopped. So what I'm going to do today is, since I have already got most of M sort of penciled in, is I'm going to go ahead and just show you how I ink and watercolor. And then in the future, if you guys are interested, I will go back and do another letter from start to finish. So hopefully this will still give you kind of an idea how I go about doing this. So I do use a reference photo. And normally, so I actually just took pictures of my own hand as reference, making all of the hand shapes. And so I usually just use my phone, like I have it next to me while I'm working. But since I actually filmed with my phone, I went ahead and I just printed it out. So it's like really, really big, but hopefully this will work. And usually after I've actually drawn it in, I use this mostly just for shading and like that kind of stuff. So I will time-lapse you guys and come back at the end and we'll see how it went. Okay, so that is pretty much dry, and I think I'm going to leave it as is. So I did have my reference photo right next to me, and definitely perspective and shading is something that I still need to work on a little bit more. I might come back and touch it up once it's fully dried. Sometimes I need to step away from it and come back to it to see where I'm really like missing bits and where I can add to. But that's basically the process. And what I did want to show you guys before I let you go is, or are, the colors that I use. So you'll notice that up here I have these 3 different colors, and these are specifically for doing my hands. So I use this, I think it's maybe burnt sienna, something like that. So I use this like kind of lighter orangey brown mixed with a little bit of white to make this color right here. I use this red mixed with a little bit of white to make this one, and I use this brown, but I kind of dilute it with a little bit of water to make it a little bit lighter because it's actually a very, very dark brown. And actually something that I haven't done in the past but that I did this time was I put a tiny bit of this dark brown in this red to kind of darken it up a little bit. And yeah, this one is actually one of the first, actually the only hand I think that I've done. Normally what I would do is I actually would do a really light wash of this yellow under everything, and sometimes even blot it up a little bit before I went over with this one. So once this is fully dry, I need to compare it to the other hands that I've done and see how the color, like if it's got a more natural looking color, if it's missing something. So I'm really kind of playing around with mixing colors to get the shades that I'm actually like trying to get. And as you can tell, it's definitely a work in progress. Yeah, some of them come out better than others. A lot of times I end up worrying them for so much that I get a lot of paint on them. So I actually really wanted to try this time to not get quite as thick a layer of paint on there and just see how it came out. And then I can always go back a little bit later and add more to different sections to get a little bit more contrast if I need to. But yeah, that is how I do my watercolored hands, and if you guys are interested, I will come back in the future and do one where I actually do the entire sketching process, since unfortunately I had already done that, but I had kind of forgotten that when I started filming this, so I just ran with it. But hopefully you guys thought that was kind of interesting, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!